Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're diving right into a seriously delightful piece of horticultural journaling. We're looking at a diary entry by an author named Ang from a series called Notes on Gardening. We often think learning requires lugging around heavy textbooks, right? But honestly, sometimes the absolute best insights come from just everyday lived experiences. Specifically, we're looking at part 939 of these notes, which is all about rediscovering the gorgeous orchid tree right in the middle of a totally mundane routine. Let's break down exactly how this unexpected botanical beauty unfolds.
Ang actually captures the core of this experience so perfectly with this thought. There is always a distinct joy in running into exotic plants during my errands. We can all instantly relate to that, can't we? Picture it. You're out doing something incredibly boring, your mind is squarely on a grocery list or getting to the post office, and suddenly, bam, your eye is just captivated by this massive burst of vibrant beauty. It completely arrests your attention. It pulls you right out of the daily grind. Aang captures that universal, almost delightful disruption perfectly here. It's just that incredible feeling of having your eye caught by something growing wild on the side of the road.
And here is exactly what stopped Ang right in their tracks. Meet the Bauhinia variegata, more commonly known, and you can see why, as the orchid tree. This is a genuinely stunning specimen, totally characterized by these incredibly vibrant magenta and pink blooms. We are absolutely not talking about some tiny, subtle flower hidden in the grass here. No, it's a massive, colorful showstopper. This is the exact plant that brought that distinct joy to Ang's everyday errands. Bringing this specific discovery to mind really helps us understand why they felt so compelled to just stop, observe, and write the whole thing down. Now, what's fascinating is that this wasn't just a passing glance. It's actually a long-term horticultural fascination. Ang first stumbled upon and noted this exact plant many moons ago, logging it way back in Gardening Notes Part 420. Back then, well, it was really just a casual observation. They didn't try to get a specimen to evaluate or anything. But jump forward to the present day in part 939, and they've completely rediscovered these stunning blooms while just out running errands. It's like the plant reintroduced itself. And now, looking ahead to the next few weeks, this re-encounter has sparked some real action. Ang's actively planning a field trip to local plant centers or nurseries to finally source a live specimen. I just love how an idea or a beautiful plant can kind of linger in the back of your mind for literally hundreds of journal entries before finally pushing you to act. So what makes this plant so fascinating to actually evaluate? Well, it's this incredibly unique botanical paradox. Up close, its delicate petals look strikingly like an exotic orchid, which obviously is exactly how it gets its common name. And usually, when we think of exotic orchids, we picture these fussy, fragile little things that need a super specific, sheltered environment to survive. But then you zoom out, and despite those delicate petals, this plant actually grows as a robust, beautifully canopied tree. And it thrives right out there under the full blazing sun. It's this amazing contrast, the fragile look of the flowers versus the hardy, sun-loving physical structure of a full tree, that makes it such an incredible subject to evaluate. And it's precisely that contrast, that striking visual impact, that leads to a real turning point in Ang's diary. They write that they are tempted to source one due to the sheer brilliance of its petals. This is actually a really important shift. Ang isn't just a passive observer jotting down a quick note by the roadside anymore like they did back in part 420. That sheer visual brilliance has transformed them into an active enthusiast. They are literally moved to bring this exotic beauty into their own controlled environment to truly study and appreciate it. Okay, so once you've decided you absolutely need one of these, what's the procurement strategy? For Ang, it essentially boils down to two distinct horticultural paths. First, you've got the DIY spontaneous route, harvesting seeds or taking cuttings directly from that roadside plant you spotted during your errands. Or, on the flip side, there's the more formal, commercial route, sourcing an already established live plant from local nurseries or plant centers. Anyone looking to evaluate a new plant is going to have to weigh these two avenues, because as you can imagine, each comes with its own unique level of effort and timeline. Let's actually break down the practical logic behind Ang's final decision here. First off, it comes down to sheer practicality. Ang skipped the roadside harvest this time simply because they were super busy running other errands. We've all been there, right? You see something really cool, but you just do not have the time to pull over and forage like a rogue botanist on your way to the dry cleaners. Now, while they remain totally open to taking roadside cuttings if they happen to bump into the plant again, their botanical research actually points them in a totally different direction. According to Ang's readings on the subject, acquiring a live plant is actually the much better route to take for this specific tree. So you combine those everyday time constraints with a bit of solid reading, and it leads to a definitive plan, sourcing a live plant from a nursery on their next field trip. It brilliantly shows how our everyday constraints and a little bit of research work together to form a highly practical gardening strategy. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a question. What exotic beauty is waiting to be rediscovered on your next errand? Eng's journal entry is such a brilliant reminder that we are surrounded by fascinating things if we just take a single moment to look up from our busy routines. So the next time you're rushing out to grab groceries or run some mundane errand, keep your eyes peeled. You might just stumble upon your very own version of the orchid tree, a sudden burst of unexpected natural brilliance right in your own neighborhood, just waiting to spark a brand new fascination. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and as always, keep learning.